The smell hit them, a thick, cloying stench of decay and iron. Its mouth twitched, teeth glinting in the pale, filtered light from the broken windows. Axel wanted to look away, but he couldn't. Every detail pressed into him. The peeling, wet skin around its jaw. The thin, raw muscle exposed where flesh had split. The dark blood caked under its fingernails. Its eyes, wide and unblinking, focused on movement, on sound, and, he feared, on him. Sasha moved first, slowly, deliberately, stepping aside so they could continue down the alley without drawing attention. The creature shambled after them a moment, then stopped, head tilting unnaturally, before it lurched back into the shadows. Axel exhaled a shuddering breath. "Everywhere," he muttered. "Everywhere. They're just—" He swallowed, mouth dry. "They're everywhere." She nodded. "And that's the part people forget. You think you can go quietly, but you're never alone. Even in empty streets, they're around. Fresh or slow. Doesn't matter. You just have to stay calm." He tried to calm himself, tried to focus on the rhythm of walking, the squelch of mud, the weight of the hatchet in his hands. His shoulder ached again, sharp and insistent. Every step reminded him of the bite, of the possibility that this journey was already doomed. By midday, they reached the outskirts of a small farmstead. Fences had collapsed, gates swayed on broken hinges. A cow, gaunt and frightened, stared at them from the shelter of a barn. The house itself was shattered, windows gone, doors ripped from frames, furniture overturned. Signs of struggle everywhere. Sasha moved quickly to a corner, motioning Axel to stay behind a toppled wheelbarrow. "Food," she whispered. "Quick, silent." He obeyed, heart hammering as she darted inside. Moments stretched like hours. Then she emerged, small bags of grain, a bottle of water, and a loaf of bread wrapped in wax paper. She handed him some, and for the first time in 2 days, Axel felt warmth that wasn't tied to survival instinct. It was human. They ate together, sitting on the grass, the rain pattering over them. He was too exhausted to speak much. Words were swallowed by the rhythm of breathing, the ache of muscles, the pounding in his shoulder. "You'll need spare clothes," Sasha said finally, standing and pulling a jacket from a cupboard in the farm shed. She handed him thick but tattered wool trousers, a dirty jumper, and boots. Axel slipped them on, grateful for the protection against rain, mud, and cold. She gave him a hatchet, smaller than his previous one, but easier to swing with precision. "Use it wisely," she said. The sun was a dull disk behind clouds as they packed what little they could carry. Crewe was 2 days south. 2 days of walking past death and ruin. 2 days of the world trying to remind them of its cruelty. Axel felt hope and terror in equal measure. For the first time since the outbreak, he had someone with him, someone to watch his back, to share the burden of hunger, cold, and exhaustion. But even as they moved forward, every fallen body, every shattered home, every distant groan reminded him. 12 days in, and the world was already too much for most people. Chapter 6. Nightfall on the road to Crewe. The sun was a pale disk behind thick clouds when they left the farmstead, its light weak and muted, pressing shadows across the broken fences and overgrown lanes. Mud clung to their boots, sucking at every step, dragging them toward the rails. The path south toward Crewe stretched ahead, grey, quiet, and littered with reminders of what had come before. Bodies lay scattered across the fields, in gutters against abandoned cars. Some were fresh, red and raw, others already bloated and grey, their mouths frozen open in silent screams. A cow, gaunt and trembling, stared from the corner of a ruined barn, unblinking. The air smelled of earth, decay, and rain-soaked grass, an unrelenting combination that pressed itself into their lungs. Axel's shoulder throbbed with every step, the bite still angry beneath the bandage. Each movement reminded him of his fragility. Hunger gnawed steadily at his stomach, the warmth of the food from Sasha long gone from his belly. His hands ached from gripping the hatchet, knuckles white from tension. Sasha moved ahead, confident and precise, scanning each abandoned yard, each window, each broken doorway. "Keep quiet," she murmured, not looking back. "They're everywhere. We can't afford noise." Axel nodded, following her silently, ears straining for the slightest sound, dragging feet, moaning, something shifting behind a wall or under a fence. The undead were numerous here, wandering aimlessly, yet their persistence was terrifying. They were relentless in their slowness, unthinking, remorseless. They reached a narrow lane flanked by low stone walls, puddles collecting in depressions worn into the cobbles. The smell of rot hit Axel again. He froze mid-step. Ahead, 3 slow zombies had emerged from the cover of a collapsed barn wall, faces pale and glistening with rainwater and decay. Clothes torn, hands crooked and grasping, dragging along the wet stones. Each step produced a wet, squelching sound that resonated in the quiet lane. "They've spotted us," Sasha whispered, kneeling and sliding behind a toppled wheelbarrow. Her hand brushed the hatchet across Axel's back. "You know what to do. Hit hard. Hit fast." Axel swallowed, taste of fear in his mouth, and followed her crouched steps. The first zombie lunged, arms stretching too far for human proportions, jaw opening in a wet, ragged gasp. Axel swung the hatchet, connecting with its shoulder. The bone cracked with a sharp, satisfying sound, but it didn't stop. The creature's hands clawed toward his chest, nails scraping wool and flesh alike. Pain shot through his side as it pulled him backward slightly, teeth flashing. "Move!" Sasha shouted, swinging a second zombie away with a bat, toppling it into a puddle of mud. She kicked the first one, giving Axel just enough space to step back, hatchet raised. The second zombie joined the fray, shuffling with that slow inevitability, limbs flailing. Axel's hands trembled, sweat mixed with rain on his forehead. He swung again, cleaving into the first creature's head. The skull cracked, and it toppled sideways, twitching violently in the puddle, teeth gnashing at air. The third zombie was much slower, but its persistence was maddening. Axel's arm burned, shoulder screaming. The hatchet cut through wet cloth and soft tissue, the sound of bone and sinew filling the narrow lane. The creature grabbed his ankle, clawing and biting. He kicked wildly, splashing mud into its face, breaking its hold. Sasha's voice was calm amidst chaos. "Keep moving. Don't get surrounded." He followed her advice, stepping over a toppled wheelbarrow, slamming the hatchet down into the chest of the nearest zombie. Its body collapsed into the muddy lane with a heavy, wet thud. The other 2 staggered, disoriented by the blows, before Sasha and Axel pressed forward together, methodical, coordinated. After what felt like hours but had been only minutes, they reached the far edge of the lane. Bodies lay strewn, broken and twitching. Their clothes were smeared with blood and mud. Axel's hands shook violently, hatchet slick in his grip. His lungs burned with effort, chest tight from adrenaline and exertion. Sasha looked at him briefly, expression unreadable, but approving. "You're learning," she said quietly. Axel exhaled, nearly collapsing against a stone wall. Every muscle in his body screamed, every joint ached, his shoulder throbbed, and the bite burned with a dull, nagging fire beneath the bandage. Hunger pressed at him again, and the chill rain soaked through his clothes. But for the first time in days, he felt alive in the way fear and effort can make you feel alive. Fragile, unsteady, but undeniably present. They crouched behind the wall, listening. Silence, save for the patter of rain and distant groans echoing across fields. He could see the path to the rails ahead, muddy, littered with bodies, broken fences, and the remnants of farms abandoned in a hurry. Sasha rested her hand lightly on his arm. We can't stop here long. We push on at first light. Crew's still 2 days away, and we need every hour. Axel nodded, gripping his hatchet. Pain, exhaustion, and fear pressed against him like a living thing, but alongside it, there was purpose. With Sasha, he wasn't alone. Together, they would face the slow and the fast, the dead and the dying, and try to carve a path south. Night was falling now, and somewhere beyond the fields, the groans of the undead drifted across the land. The journey was far from over. Chapter 7. Crewe. Crewe unfolded before them like a half-forgotten memory, grey and hollow. The rails stretched across the town like scars, frozen trains lining the platforms, doors yawning open, windows shattered. Bodies littered the stations and streets, some still fresh, others beginning to swell and rot. Axel and Sasha reached the edge of the main train platform, the rain having slowed to a drizzle, leaving everything slick and glistening. The distance between them felt smaller at first, but as they paused to take stock of the city, the vast emptiness emphasized how isolated they truly were. "We split here," Sasha said, her voice calm, measured. She stepped a few paces back from the rails, giving him a reassuring glance. Axel's stomach tightened. "We can still—" "No," she interrupted gently. "You take the tracks home. I'm going north to the warehouses for supplies. We'll only slow each other down." Axel nodded. He wanted to argue, to insist, but something in her posture, the subtle set of her shoulders, the steady grip on her crossbow, made him stop. She handed him a small pack, half-empty painkillers for his shoulder and headache. "You'll need these more," she said,